What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Anxious Dude Productions YouTube channel. I am so glad you are here, especially if you're somebody like me who suffers from things like agoraphobia, panic attacks, anxiety, depression, any sort of mental health struggles. You guys found the right place. This is all about healing together, and the things that I do and the things that I've done in the past that have helped me get to the point that I'm at now. And while I do still suffer, I am light years away from where I was in the very beginning. So just to paint the full picture, I've talked about this a little bit on some other videos, but this was a video, I was planning on doing another video entirely today, honestly, but then I felt the calling to do this one because a couple of people in one of the agoraphobia groups that I'm a part of, and actually the main one I'm a part of, if I'm being honest, the one that I comment on the most and share on the most, because I find it to be kind of the best out of all of them without being too judgy. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But this video came to my heart because people were asking about ketamine infusion therapy, and since that's something that I have done, and that's what got me from one very dramatic point to another very dramatic point, I felt like I had a story to share that just putting into words didn't seem to do it justice, so I thought I would do a quick video for y'all. So we have to do a little bit of time traveling and go back to November of 2018 when this all started for me. I had gotten up at 5:30 in the morning just to go to the bathroom, and next thing I knew, I woke up on the floor in my hallway right outside between my bedroom and my bathroom. I live in a small apartment, so there's not a whole lot of space in between those two spots, but yeah, I woke up on the floor to my wife standing over me, screaming my name. And at first she had thought, because I have a very bad ankle that required 2 reconstructive surgeries in 2016, she thought like something happened with the ankle and I had fallen. But no, I had passed out randomly for the first and, knock on wood, so far the only time in my life. And from then on, it was severe anxiety, panic, and that just spiraled and snowballed super quick into full-blown agoraphobia. At the very worst of my symptoms, it didn't take long to get there either. It only took a couple months to get there. In the beginning, guys, I'm not even exaggerating, and I kind of wish I was. 23 times I was hospitalized in the first 14 months. That is just crazy. That was absolutely crazy, and that's how bad it was for me. It was so bad, in fact, that I was virtually bedridden for the majority of that. I couldn't get up and go to the bathroom on my own. This is something embarrassing to admit on video, but it's part of the story, so I'm going to share it with you guys so that you get a little bit of hope if you're in a position that's similar to this. I couldn't get up to go to the bathroom, so I would use a hospital-grade plastic urinal to pee, and then my wife would dump it for me. Like, that's how bad it was. I couldn't get up and cook for myself. Oh man, it was so bad, and I was so desperate, so desperate to just find anything that would work. So that injury that I had mentioned, it was a work-related injury, so I had gotten workman's comp for that, and I had gotten a settlement because I got hurt on somebody's property as a mailman. So when I got that settlement, I took some of that money, and I was so desperate, at a desperate point in my life. I had heard about ketamine infusion, so I took some of that money and financed it into myself for ketamine infusion, and it was a complete life-changing experience. So what to expect when you're doing ketamine infusion? Well, at least the facility that I went to, it was a place in Milford, Connecticut. I'm blanking on the name of it right now, but if anybody is local to the area and you're wondering about it, I could find the information for you and give it to you. But anyway, my friend would bring me, and at the time, like, it was so bad that I would go to and from in a wheelchair. Like, I couldn't. The idea of getting up and walking anywhere was just, it was so hard and impossible for me at the time. So I would get in my wheelchair, I would go into the place, and they were so kind and so amazing. It was doctors, and they monitor you the entire time. So you go in for your consultation, and they find out if this is something that's likely going to work for you or not. And thankfully for me, it obviously did. And my doctor was absolutely amazing, and I feel so bad I'm blanking on his name right now too, but he was absolutely amazing. He was kind, and he was just very calm and relaxing, even just during the consultation. Then when I went for that first infusion treatment, it was like a whole different experience that I've never had before or since. You go into a room and they turn the lights off for you and everything like that. They're monitoring you the entire time. I had a blood pressure monitor on my arm. Like, they're taking your vitals the entire time. It's incredibly safe and incredibly relaxing in that sense, because you know your anxiety is obviously heightened because you don't know what you're going to experience. It's a psychedelic trip. And yes, I'm a weed smoker, or at least I was. I've actually stopped for the last few days because you know, I'm going through a little bit of a moment right now where I'm trying to reevaluate some things and see if it's actually helping my anxiety or making it worse. So I've gone a few days without smoking, but again, that's neither here nor there. But I'd never done a psychedelic experience before, and it was just absolutely remarkable. So you go into the dark room, and they let you, at least in the facility I was at, they had a TV. You could put whatever you wanted on TV. But in my case, I selected music, and I selected the Beatles because I'm a huge Beatles fan, and I knew that that music would relax me because I've listened to it my entire life thanks to my father. So you're in this almost like a dentist chair in a way, because it can recline and everything like that. Super, super comfortable though. And you know, you close your eyes, and for my infusion, there's different ways to do it. Sometimes they just inject it into you. Sometimes I've even heard that there's some that it's orally done. In my case, it was an IV drip treatment. And when it's first coming on and your eyes are closed, and in my case, I was just listening to the music. My friend was in the room with me the entire time for every treatment. And you're just, in the best way possible, you just completely leave your body. Like, I felt myself just completely free float, leave my body. And it was absolutely remarkable. You know, it's a little scary at first when it's first kicking in. I'm not going to lie to you and say it's not scary at all. When it's first kicking in, especially if you're inexperienced with that sort of thing, it can be a little bit scary. But I can absolutely assure you that, at least in my experience, that sort of anxiety feeling, it went away real quick each and every time. Once I felt like I was kind of floating out of my body a little bit, it was smooth sailing from there. It really was. One of the most incredible experiences that I'm going to share with you guys. I mean, I've got a couple of different stories, but this one really, like, it was completely life-changing, because that was the first time that I ever knew that God was real. Because like I said, you're floating out of your body, and I just kept floating, and my eyes are closed, and then I'm just in this blank, just this black void. But it's not a bad black void. It was just this wonderful, calm, nothing around you, just beautiful experience. And that was when I first felt the presence of God. And I even told this to the doctor, and he's like, well, a lot of people have that experience, believe it or not. And I wasn't even remotely religious at this point. I had actually given up my faith because of everything that was going on. And it would still take me quite a while, just up until a couple of months ago, actually. This was quite a few years ago now. I finally found my faith again. But in that moment, I knew God was real. I knew God was real because I felt it. And then once I got past that black void place, I saw these visions. I was in a brand new place. Like, I was in an actual physical place. It was this like long corridor, for lack of a better term. It was like this long hallway, and there were all these beautiful pillars, and it just felt so welcoming, and I felt like I was home, honestly. Like, I remember telling my friend that even in the middle of the treatment, I'm like, because you know, you could still talk even though you're in this weird, it's hard to explain that part because you're in this weird other realm, but at the same time I could still kind of talk to my friend. And so I'm sure some of the stuff I was saying made no sense to him. But it was like this long hallway with these beautiful, just these columns on either side, and the colors were just gorgeous, and I felt so at one and at peace with everything. I felt at peace with my life and at peace with the world. Like, not even at peace with my life. Let me actually correct myself, because I had no concept of life or anything like that. I was just so at peace. I wasn't worried about anything. I wasn't worried about anxiety. I wasn't worried about money. I wasn't worried about bills. I wasn't worried about anything. I was in this beautiful, beautiful place. And oh my God, I wish everybody could experience that part of it. Whether it's through ketamine or not, I wish everybody could feel what I felt there, because it was so welcoming, and it truly felt like I was at home. And like, it felt like I didn't see people per se, but it felt like a warm hug from the universe. I know that's going to sound really bizarre, but it did. It felt like a warm hug from the universe, or a warm hug from God, or a warm hug from Jesus, or whatever you want to call that. It was a beautiful, beautiful experience. And then what was really incredible, and this is a real thing that I wanted to share with you guys today, because this just recently came back around full circle for me. So because I found my faith again and stuff, the algorithm on YouTube is sending me a lot of faith-related videos, and there was one video in particular that caught my eye, and it was an artist's interpretation of the biblical description of heaven. And I'm going to insert a picture of that right about here, right now. Guys, this is where I went when I was on ketamine. And I'm not even kidding you. I am not even kidding you. When I saw that the other day, I took a screen grab of it, and I showed it to my wife. I said, "You remember that story I told you?" I said, "I was here. This is the place I was." And then the other day, if you guys saw my post when I went for a hike yesterday, that friend is the one that brought me to the ketamine infusion. So I showed it to him. I was like, "Hey, remember that day that I told you that I knew I felt God's presence? I went to this really cool place, but I didn't know what it was." I said, "This was the place. This is where I was." It was such an amazing, amazing experience. And what did all these experiences do for me? They got me from being bedridden to literally going outside the next day. I was going outside the next day. Was it easy? No. There was still a lot of work to do. And I still think that had I done more ketamine infusion treatments, I probably could have healed a lot faster than I did. I just didn't have the money for that many more. Because it is quite expensive if your insurance doesn't cover it, which mine didn't, at least at the time. It might by now. I don't know. It's not something I've looked into in a while. But it is one of the most relaxing, out-of-body, positive experiences you could ever have. And it got me from one dramatic point of being bedridden, peeing in a urinal, being embarrassed, not showering, none of this stuff, none of that hygiene or taking care of myself, none of it, to now I just went for a hike yesterday. And the ketamine is what started all of it. It really, really did, you guys. And it was just a beautiful, beautiful experience. It really, really was. If you guys have any more questions, specific questions about ketamine, I'll try to answer them for you. I'm blanking on some details. It was just a beautiful experience. You're monitored the entire time. There's nothing to worry about. You're under a doctor's care. You're not, it's not like you're dropping acid in Woodstock or anything like that. You're going to be okay. Oh, and then another point too, if you're worried about the coming down process of it, at least when I was doing the infusion, once they take the IV out, in about 15-20 minutes, you're gold. You're good. I mean, you'll still feel a little groggy or whatever, but you're fine to get up and leave. You're totally fine. So it's a very quick recovery after the infusion. Like I said, guys, if you have any more questions about the ketamine infusion, or hey, if you have any questions about the religious aspect of it, the fact that I know for a fact where I was, like, there's nobody, not a soul on this planet can convince me I wasn't there. I know what I saw. And what I saw was represented in that picture I showed you. Hands down. There's not a question. No way. Not a question in my life. That was God showing me that I was going to be okay. And unfortunately, it took me still quite a few years to get back to that and get back to God and get back to Jesus. But I'm so glad that I did, because it's been completely life-changing. And since then, since I refound my faith a couple of months ago, I just lean heavily into that. And I'm healing. I'm healing in so many beautiful, beautiful ways. And I just hope that you all can heal, whatever that healing looks like for you. I'm not trying to convert anybody to any particular denomination or anything like that. That's not what this is about. Whatever that healing looks for you, I pray that you find it. But ketamine infusion was definitely the right step for me. Take care, guys. And like I said, if you have any more questions, let me know in the comments below. I love you all. Happy healing. If you went on to enjoy this episode and you got something from it, please consider leaving a tip on my Ko-fi page. The link is always in the description of my videos, no matter where I'm posting them from, and I appreciate each and every one of you for watching.